Governor Huckabee, this question comes from Curtis Waldman from Boca Raton, Florida. Thousands of reputable scientists have concluded with almost certainty that human activity is responsible for the warming of the Earth. Do you believe global warming exists?
The most important thing about global warming is this. Whether humans are responsible for the bulk of climate change is going to be left to the scientists, but it's all of our responsibility to leave this planet in better shape for the future generations than we found it. It's the old Boy Scout rule of the campsite. You leave the campsite in better shape than you found it. I believe that even our responsibility to God means that we have to be good stewards of this earth, be good caretakers of the natural resources that don't belong to us. We just get to use them. We have no right to abuse them.
Congressman Tancredo, David Diamond from Memphis writes in, do you have a plan to solve the shortage of organs donated for transplant?
Well, I don't believe that the President of the United States should be putting forth a plan to do such a thing. The reality is that technology and the advancement of technology in a variety of areas is going at a pace where I believe we can look forward to cures. We can look forward to a variety of things that will allow us to cure diseases that today we do not have cures for. But the idea that I think is inherent in this question, that somehow we should be growing these things, somehow we should be cloning people for the purpose of using these kinds of their attributes, is ridiculous. I absolutely would not support it.
Congressman Hunter, Maggie from Highland Park, Illinois, wants to know if you consider yourself a compassionate conservative like President Bush.
Answer, yes, and let me take the rest of my time on Iran. You know, right now, Iran is moving equipment into Iraq that is being used to kill Americans. Iran has crossed the line. And the United States has absolute license at this point to take whatever actions are necessary to stop those deadly instruments from being moved across the line, being used in explosives, roadside bombs inside Iraq. And lastly, you know, we should not get to the edge of the cliff on this enrichment of uranium and plutonium to be used for a nuclear weapon in Iran.
Thank you.
The United States needs to move very quickly.
Congressman Paul, Pete from Rochester Hills, Michigan, wants to ask you this. If you were president, would you work to phase out the IRS?
Immediately.
That's what they call a softball.
And you can only do that if you change our ideas about what the role of government ought to be. If you think the government has to take care of us from cradle to grave, and if you think our government should police the world and spend hundreds of billions of dollars on a foreign policy that we cannot manage, you can't get rid of the IRS. But if you want to lower taxes, and if you want the government to quit printing the money to come up with shortfall and cause all the inflation, you have to change policy.
Time. We now go to the next segment. We're going to talk about values. Let's get down the line on this, just like they did with the Democrats last week on some of these trickier calls, but they do have clear answers. Starting with you, Governor, would the day that Roe v. Wade is repealed be a good day for America?
Absolutely.
Senator.
Be a glorious day of human liberty and freedom.
Governor.
Yes, it was wrongly decided.
Governor.
Most certainly.
Congressman.
Oh, yes. Wade.
Yes. Governor. Senator.
Yes. Repeal.
Mayor.
It'd be okay.
Okay to repeal?
It would be okay to repeal. It would be okay also if a strict constructionist judge viewed it as precedent, and I think a judge has to make that decision.
Would it be okay if they didn't repeal it?
I think the court has to make that decision, and then the country can deal with it. We're a federalist system of government, and states can make their own decisions.
Congressman.
After 40 million dead because we have aborted them in this country, I say that that would be the greatest day in this country's history when that is, in fact, overturned.
We're looking for nuance here. Governor Gilmore, you have said in the past that you believe in the first 8 to 12 weeks of pregnancy that a woman should have the right to have an abortion. Do you still stick with that exception?
I do, Chris. My views on this, my beliefs on this are a matter of conviction. And they've always been the same, and they've never changed the entire time that I've been in public life. However, my record as governor of Virginia, I think, has been one that the pro-life community of which I'm a part would be very proud. Passing a 24-hour waiting period, passing informed consent, passing parental notification, signing the partial birth abortion law in Virginia. So I think the record is there. But my views are strongly and fundamentally believed and been held that way.